ॐ सहना भवतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः. Welcome everybody. Sorry, the pause took a little longer than I anticipated with so many things happening in life. Looking forward to do more sort of continuous series of where we left this thing off. This is the little section we started where basically what we were planning to do is look through the Halant Shabda first and understand a good knowledge on the Shabda Rupa. The idea is basically when you are a little older, you cannot memorize like the little kids do. So if you talk to a 4-year, 5-year-old, you tell them Rama Shabda about 5-6 times and or maybe 10 times and they can memorize it. That is generally not the case with the older people. So what happens is, we start memorizing Rama Shabda and or any Bhu Shabda, and then we basically sort of give up on it. And because of the complexity, we say, oh, it's a very tough subject. It's not meant for us. And then we justify ourselves saying, some great souls who are born with, predestined fate, they are the ones who can learn Sanskritam. But that is not the case if we follow the right authors, right books, and in a right methodology. In that series, we started with the Pandit Brahmadatti Jigyasu's student, Pandit Yudhishthir Mimamsak, and he wrote a very wonderful book, maybe 70 pages, and it's a very small book, and very methodically it goes how Sanskritam language is not random, and it is all based on certain meta rules that Maharshi Panini sort of reverse engineered it. And the reason I say reverse engineered, because all these shabdas, they were available to the people of the time. There was Sanskritam Vangmayam, and then there is many other Itihasa Granthas, and then the Sanskritam was very famously spoken on the Indian subcontinent, now called Bharat Desha. And I like the word Bharata because not India, because India for some reason does not show the connectivity to the roots, but Bharata does. Bhayam Rataha means Bha means we have seen. I think I might have said it in one of my earlier classes as well. Bha means light, like we can see Prabha, Prabhakara means sun, Prabha means light. Very excellent light, filled everywhere. That kind of a light is called Prabha. So Bhayam Rataha, people of that country, they always wanted to get the freedom of this Janma Marana, they call it, like birth and death cycle. And for that they always seek knowledge, and many of our granthas and everything, they clearly mention about that one. So that's why it's called Bharata Desha. And Bharata was the king, so something that belonged to Bharata, something that came from Bharata also will get the meaning of Bharata. So Maharshi Panini, he created these, he observed the language spoken on all parts of Bharat Desha, and then based on that, he reverse engineered the meta rules. What do I mean by that? When he looked at Bhavanam, and then he looked at Bhavati. Oh, there is this Bhava is common, and same way Pathanam and Pathati. So he looked, oh, Pat is common. So then what he imagined in his head is there is something called Prakriti, and there is something called pratyaya. Prakriti is something that that does not change, and then pratyaya, depending on which what kind of a pratyaya comes, then the final output, the final form of the word changes. And he created about 4,000 such meta rules, and the name of that book is called Ashtadhyayi. And that's what everything he created is based on. So we started reading some we already finished some in the last 4 lessons. This is the fifth one. In we saw that Sugand Shabda, we saw the 21 pratyas, how they transform all the namarupas that are derived in Sanskritam. They are all based on these 21 pratyas. So if you take any language, Sanskritam just like any other language, and the purpose of the language is so that we can have ideas to express, and then we can share our feelings, and we can document anything. So generally, that's what the purpose of a language is. And Sanskritam, just like any other language, behaves in the exact same way. And then the language generally is made out of sentences, and the sentences are called vakya, and vakyas are made out of pada. It's a technical term in in relation to Sanskritam. Pada means word is a poor definition. What happens is when we are studying grammar, just simply saying word doesn't relate it to much. So the best thing to do is go by the definition that Maharishi Panini gave for pada. Pada is suptingantam padam, something after which a sup or a ting pratyaya comes. Those are called pada. So sup are 21 pratyayas. We have seen that these are the sup, starting with su, au, jas, up. And then from my previous talks, I changed the order a little bit based on the Panini Sutra. Again, in the most of the school books or something, the way they give is Prathama, Dvitiya, Tritiya, Chaturthi, Panchami, Shashti, and Saptami, and then they give the last one is Sambodhana. The reason I changed it is, if you look at the Ashtadhyayi Sutras, I think there is a sutra called Pratipadikārtha Linga Parimāna Vachana Matre Prathama, and the next sutra after that comes Sambodhanecha. So Prathama and Sambodhana Maharishi Panini gave in one place. So after this thing dawned on me one day, I was explaining it to somebody, and then I realized, oh, I made this little mistake on my slides. I should put Sambodhana right next to Prathama, because that is in line with what Maharishi Panini wanted. So the people who wants to read a little bit more offline, then they can say, maybe I can show you on this one. It's not the big deal. I can show. So if I go to ashtadhyayi.com, go to Sutra Patha, and if I say Prathama, so you will see Pratipadikārtha Linga Parimāna Vachana Matre Prathama. So in whatever the when the Prathama Vibhakti comes, he explained in this sutra. And if you go to the next sutra, the next it says Sambodhanecha. So in Sambodhana also Prathama Vibhakti alone comes. So based on that, so you got the Prathama and Sambodhana, you get the exact same Vibhaktis. Prathama is Su-Aujas, Sambodhana is same as Su-Aujas. Then Ammauchas, Tabhyambhis, Ngebhyambhas, Ngasibhyambhas, Ngasosam, Ngiyosup. So since it's been a while, so I just want to give a quick refresher to the audience. And the idea is, if you pay little attention, this shas is only, it becomes us only. I think if you go to the next slide, then you can see this su is sakara. Varnat karaha. So whenever we say varna, just don't simply say s, because your first of all your mouth has to, the vocal apparatus has to work too hard. Then if you have to say only the halanta sounds like s, k, h, it becomes sort of a pain point, if, and the conversation doesn't appear pleasant. So general rule is, any varna, only a single varna you have to say, single letter you have to say. You always add kara to the end. So varnat karaha. So any varna, if you just want to say, you add kara to it. So instead of s, it's much easier on your throat to simply say sakara. So whenever I say sakara, the kara word that you see, uh, then you simply say, you understand that it does not have any ach associated, any vowel associated with it. So I don't say aukara, I can say, but au simply tells au. Au doesn't give any confusion. Your mouth apparatus, if you notice your apparatus, vocal apparatus, you don't need much. Normally au is very clearly pronounced. But if you have to say ju, su, then the whole that thing is lost. So you say jakara, akara, sakara. It's much easier and flows very nicely. Okay, that's about varnat karaha. So su aujas sakara, then then just also, then the ja disappears. Then I think this slide moved a little bit. It should be on the ja. Same thing with su us. Just like the jakara disappears, so what remains is us. Sambodhana, same thing. Shas, I was telling, then this shakara disappears, so you have this us. So that is prathama and dvitiya. Then, prathama and dvitiya. From tritiya onwards, tritiya to panchami, if you pay attention here, the bhyam part never changes. So all the words, all the entire Sanskritam words, that is Namarupa, they will have the Tritiya Dvivachanam, Chaturthi Dvivachanam, Panchami Dvivachanam as same as Bhyam. This one will have the same thing, Bhis, Bhyas, Bhyas. So nothing changes here. Then the Shashti Dvitiya Vivachanam and Saptami Dvitiya Vivachanam, it's same, Os, Os. And here it is Am, and then finally Sup. So sup is basically starting from this sa to pakara. So what we have learned in the past is, um, if you take pratyahara, so how it works is, you take A to Z if you have to write. So you say so A B, all that up to Z. So you simply say A to Z on that one, right, in English. So same way. So if the pratyahara that will become is AZ will be a pratyahara, that will indicate that all the letters in between. But this AZ does not have any purpose for in Sanskritam, in English. But in Sanskritam, it's not like that. We learned the pratyahara when you say ayun, rilrik, and all that. So a, I, U, N. So rilrik, so here, if Maharshi Panini says ak, then he meant starting from a, leaving the last one. Starting from a, you have to include a and leave the last letter, and whatever in between falls, that will be represented by this one, a, I, U, ril, and this will be the pratyahara. That means ak means he wants to say these 5 letters. Same way, if you go to ik, I think I made a mistake here. Instead of writing here, it's very hard to erase. I just realized that. Sorry about that. So if I use this one to write, so if I say ak means what? I, a, I, U, and then r and l. So suppose he wants to exclude this. So, and the sutra that we are referring is a, I, un, and r, look. So here we are saying starting from a and going all the way up to ka and making a pratyaharas. So if he wants to exclude a, he will simply say ik. Ik means he can say I, u, will, r. Same way if you go to then if you say a, ong, and then I, ouch. So if you take all the way up to ach, then starting from a until au includes all vowels. That's how Maharshi Panini devised this in Pratyahara system. In that sense, what happens is we got this we got this 21 pratyas when we add it to any pratipadika. Now here is another technical term. So any language when we analyze, what we find is there are, I mean, you can slice and dice in any way just to fit your model basically, and it's sort of a linguistic model. So one of the slicing and dicing that we can do is language is made out of two kinds of words. One is a kriya pada and one something that is not a kriya pada. So kriya pada means something that denotes the action, and then something that does not denote an action. For example, if you say reading, driving, eating, sleeping, these are all action. These are all verbs, and so these are called kriya pada. So likhati, patati, khelati, kudati, pibati, all these they all means some kind of a action happening. But if you say Rama, Krishna, Hari, Govinda, Indra, then they don't represent any action. So these are becomes Nama Rupa. So these 21 pratyas that come after Pradipadika, they are like Nama Rupas. So adjectives and everything else fall into the same category because they are also get the same 21 vibhaktis. And we won't go into that detail, otherwise it'll be a big video and the digression will be too much to come back to the same point. So these 21 vibhaktis, and I was saying saying this again and again makes it the repetition makes it easy. First time I read same thing, I felt overwhelming reading these 21 pratyas, and then saying it few times it becomes a habit, like suaujas, amaujas, tabhyambhyas, gembhyambhyas, ngasibhyambhyas, ngasosamniyosu. So I was highlighting the point that if you look at the bhyam part of it, um, the bhyam is basically doesn't change, os doesn't change, bhis, and most of them it says am. Sometimes it changes to like Nam, like Ramanam, like that. And Sup is always, ends mostly ends in Su, Kshu, and that kind of the Ukara part that is there. So you get a good handle on these much, okay? If you pay attention, Su just. So what happens is, except the Shas, the first three, first five basically, they pretty much remain sort of give you same. Once you know one, the both lines. For Napansukalinga it is same thing. Like, so if you say for example Vanam Vane Vanani, Vanam Vane Vanani, that's it. So first two are same, and then the Shesham is Pumbat. So you really need to focus on these five. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. They are the ones that goes to the maximum transformation in any vibhakti. If you take Rama Shabda, Hari Shabda, Rama Shabda, Pati, take any example and go through Shabda Manjari and read that with this filter, then suddenly you realize, oh, it's very easy. I need to work on these five and the first two rows and first column. If I get rest of them are more or less in the you are in a good shape to understand that. All right. So let's move on a little bit. So far, um, we took a Sugan Shabda, and then in the previous videos, I don't want to go in there, but how the Sakara disappears. So, for example, if you say Sugan means one who counts well, and you bring the Prathama Vibhakti Ekavachanam, Su means Sakara, and then it is because the Pratipadika it is ending in Nakara. So what happens is the Sakara disappears, and then we covered in the last four videos we covered these 10 rules. So if you go back to the first slide, I was saying in this chapter we will cover the uh, Chakaranta and Nakaranta Shabda and whatever rules that applies. Depending on how long the video goes, maybe we can go to Chakara. So after the 10th rule, you of course all you have to remember all 10 of them, understand at least. I shouldn't say the word loosely. Uh, Remember, because it's not a memorization game. So you remember the Chakaranta Shabda. We will work on the Chakaranta Shabda. You quickly revise the last four lessons and the 10 rules that we went through. Chakaranta Shabda. And so here it's saying it's Chakaranta and Jakaranta Shabdas when Haladi Pratyaya. So Haladi means what? Adi and Anta, we need to spend just a few minutes on understanding. What is Adi? Adi and Anta. We will see. Anta. So Adi means, so let's say you have something, some placeholders. So you do not have, you have something after, but nothing before, then this is called Adi. Okay. And then some placeholders for letters are there, and you have nothing after but something before, then it is called Anta. What I mean by that, if you say Haladi, so if you write the Anupurvi, it will become Hakara, then Akara, and then everything else Adi, right? So here you have something after but nothing before. So this one, based on this letter, you add the word Adi. So if you say Haladi, because the first letter is Ha, that's what it translates to. Same thing if you take the word, Anta, and write the Anupurvi, it will be Akara, Nakara, Takara, Akara. So what happens is when you look, so something is before, so the last letter and something is there before but nothing after. So based on this one, we define what kind of a word it is. So if you say Akara, so if you say Rama, so it will be Rakara, Akara, Makara, Akara. So ending in A. So we call this as Ajanta, means Ach in the end. So this Ach plus Anta becomes Ajanta. So Rama is a Ajanta Shabda. Deva is an Ajanta Shabda. Hari, for example, we can say Achanta we can say, or we other way we can Hari we don't say Ianta. It doesn't sound nice. So what we'll say the Ikaranta. So Ikara, or you can here also you can say Akaranta Shabda. Akaranta. So you add the Kara because we are defining based on the Varna, right? Ikara, Anta, Ikaranta. It's much easier to say. Same way, Ukaranta, Rukaranta, Ekaranta, Ukaranta, and all that. So it becomes much easy like that. So here we'll be paying attention to the Chakaranta and Jakaranta Shabdas and what rules are applied here. So Haladi Pratyaya. So Haladi means Hal has to come in the beginning. So if you go back to this table quickly, so Hal, where is Hal coming? So there is Su, the Sakara is there. There is the Sakara. Then you have Bhyam, 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 these, and Bhis, Bhis, Bhis. So these are all the Haladi Shabdas. So those are the ones. So we have to look at the look at the whatever remains after cleaning the vibhakti. So in Sanskritam, the technical term is we have to look at the vibhakti after the anubandha lopa. Anubandha means, whatever the Panini put as a markers, like delimiters, after they get lopa means they disappeared or they go through the transformation. Whatever is left, that will be um, whatever is left, we have to look for the haladi and ajadi into that one. So here it's saying chakaranta, jakaranta shabda, haladi pratyaya follows in place of chakara, kakara, and in place of jakara, gakara comes as a replacement. So what happened here is, if you look at this guy, so what this rule says is, for chakaranta and jakaranta shabdas, this cha is replaced with ka. So chavarga basically gets replaced with kavarga. And the rule simply is not sthananta. Yatha sthanam anudesha samanam. I don't think that applies here correctly, but I'm just trying to say, like, when there is similarity, when you have a replacement for 5 for 5, then usually it's a one-to-one replacement. You cannot jumble this one, saying chakara I'll replace with kakara, jakara I'll replace with kakara. It doesn't like that. So when you have 5 elements on one row, and the replacement he is suggesting is the second one, then it applies one-to-one. So I just wanted to bring that rule. I don't think that clearly applies here, but here it is. He clearly mentioned that chakara is replaced with kakara and jakara is replaced with gakara. So based on that, now if you have to look at the shabda called vach. So vach, if you look at vach means saying, like, so you say vach. So it's a chakara in the end. Chakara anta. So chakara anta. If you have to do the sandhi, it becomes chakara anta. So this cha is there. So what happens? This vach is there, right? It will become vak. And we already studied, if it is on the first column, um, if it is generally in the first one, then optionally it gets the third one as well, right? So this vach, and it will get another rupa called vag. Okay, so now based on this knowledge, let's go and tackle this one. So vach, so it became vak, and then the optionality based on the previous rules that we study is this: kakara becomes gakara. So vak became vach became as a pratipadika converted into vak and vag. Au is same thing. Vach plus au is vachau. The padanta sakara gets converted to visarga. So it's the first line is very clearly done. Vak, vag, vachau, vachaha. Then in Sambodhana, same thing. It's, hey vak. See, here is a typo. It should not be. It should not be. Samit, that's what happens when you do too much copy pasting to save some work. It should be vak. And then hey, you add the Sambodhana, you add hey, bho, like that. So, or o, for example. So if you, even if call somebody, you can add all these things, just to get their attention. You put a lot of emphasis on this one first, and then you slowly their name say, oh Rama, like that, hey Rama, like that. So here it's vak and vag, and then same vachau, vachaha, same thing. Then here so your vach is there, this a, and so general Anupurvi rule is, if you say cha, this cha is a combination of chakara plus akara, right? So what happens is, if you got vach and you got so it's simple. This chakara plus akara is converted to cha, so you have vacham, right? So same thing happening here. Nothing changed. Nothing much to see here. So vacham. Then here see again copy paste. It's not sharadau. It should be vachau. So that one is a mistake. Hey vacham. I think it should be vachau. And then vachaha. Then third one is ta. Ta means a, so it's become vacha. Now here comes the yachibham, that yakaradi bhakaradi rule. So if it is bhakaradi, then it does not take the first form. It doesn't become vakbhyam. It becomes vagbhyam. So uh, so you take the third vibhakti, and whenever you add the bhyam, you take the from the third column. So vagbhyam, 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 same thing. And here it is same. It become vacho. Okay, and then vacha, and then here it is let's see if in the next slide. Now I didn't put it. So it become vakshu. So next time I think since I know um, uh, I have to do a little bit better proofreading for the next one, but you get the idea. The fundamentally it remains the same thing. So you vacha, vagbhyam, vagbhihi. So bhis becomes bhihi. The sapadanta sakara gets converted to visarga. Then vach plus a, vache, bhyam, and vagbhyah, same thing. This bhyas will become bhyah. So, and then same thing with vachaha, vachoh, vacham. See, it's very easy. These are all ending in starting in akara pratyaya, basically ach pratyaya. So they all gets merged into. Oh, here my bad. I was supposed to change that to. That's why I was wondering what happened here. So my plan was to change this with this jakaranta shabda. Change. I forgot to do a find and replacement. I'll I'll fix it in the next class. But you get the idea. So what I wanted to on the highlight of this talk is basically just this rule number 11. That is, pay attention to the pratipadika, chakaranta and jakaranta. So jalmuch, for example, is a shabda. So if you take example of jalmuch, what happens is, the same, the chakara you will convert into uh, uh, chakara will convert into kakara, jalmuk, and then kakara is optionally converted into gakara. So similarly, for example, for some practice that you can do at home is, for example, you can say srij, uh, yeah, sra, ja. So that's a jakaranta shabda. And then you do vanij, vanij. That's a jakaranta shabda. And ushij. And then bhurij. Bhurij. The meaning I'll tell you. Sraj means you can say garland or lady. And then vanij is one is a businessman. So practice saying these words, and ushij, ushij. So next time I'll do a template in this one, so it'll be much easier for me to just simply write the words, and then we can clearly write on it, because the PowerPoint doesn't let me write on it. So here bhurij, it's saying is the meaning is any chandas that has one extra letters. I don't know what this exactly means. So maybe let me do some research, and maybe I'll bring it on the uh, next video. So what is this bhurij means? Here it's saying in the book, it's saying एक अक्षर अधिक वाला कोई भी छंद. So एक अक्षर, so I don't know, it's like some kind of a chanda. I was telling so any shloka will generally have two parts. So one is written like that. So here you have, so I think if I make a line a little bigger, so typical shloka in Sanskritam It is divided into four quarters called pada. Pada means quarter. So any full thing you can divide four parts, so each one become a quarter. So that's the half line, and this is the full line. So when you have 8, 8, 8, 8, so it is 32. So that is Anushtup Chanda standard. So for example, I don't know, I have to double check and I'll confirm that little later. So for example, if you do 8 and here you do 9 and 8, 9, is that a bhuraj? I don't know. Or the possibility is you have 8 and this is the last one has one extra letter, one extra letter. So that makes it bhuraj. I don't know this clearly, but I'll find out and let you know. So if you have any questions, feel free to send me your comments. Hopefully this is a straightforward video. In the next one we will talk about Chakaranta Shabdas, any special rules that apply to the Chakaranta and Jakaranta. This was a general rule. So if you go back to this rule number 11, so we looked at the Chakaranta and Jakaranta Shabdas. So and then always pay attention to this table, because I previously also I mentioned these 1 2 3 4 5, these are the columns. So and then the rows he defined with the first letter by adding the varga to it: kavarga, chavarga, tavarga, tavarga and pavarga. So whenever he does the replacement, he uses he uses the Maheshwara Sutra, the Pratyahara Sutras, but when you translate it, they translate it nicely into these forms. So yeah, that's all for today. And if you have any questions, feel free to reach out. The email is in the beginning of the slide, or in the last slide. I leave this here for a second. And for the Hindi speaking, or people who have a good Hindi reading background, they should be able to get this book from Ramlal Kapoor Trust. Very wonderful book. Like I said, it's about 70 pages, and their claim to fame is memorize, not understand the Shabda Rupa without memorize. Bina rate means without doing a rote memorization. That is their claim to fame. And I'm not paid by these company or anything. I just simply love this book so much, and the authors, the work they have done. So I just don't wanna steal their IP and come back and say and present this as all my original ideas. That's not the idea. So that's why. Yeah, that's all. Thank you very much for your attention, and hopefully we'll continue this series. And if you're now new, please give us a thumbs up, share the video, and subscribe. Thank you. Have a wonderful day.